Hey, Nick Simons here. It's still December 22nd, 2021. I'm making yet another video. This is a good cause. I mentioned something about having a supernatural experience, or I obviously believe in the universal mind, otherwise known as God. So I have to go a little further in that, so people have a better idea of exactly where I stand on that. I believe I had a supernatural experience, but I concede that it was probably entirely natural in that there's a completely natural explanation for it. But a point that I want to emphasize heavily is that it doesn't matter to me anymore whether it was quote unquote real. I mean, I know what I felt was real. If people want to debate about whether it was supernatural or natural, that's on them. Because either way, for me, it was a good thing, because I'm gonna do good now, and my actions are gonna, be suitable for someone to walk around in society. I mean, I'm not gonna be perfect, but I'm not gonna morally transgress. I don't like to use the word sin, but I'm not taking anything that doesn't belong to me. I'm not making people think anything that is... I'm not going to lie to people, basically. If you ask me a question, I'm going to give you an honest answer. Everybody doesn't have to know everything. That's another thing I'm going to stop, is I'm just going to stop putting everything out there on Facebook and on this channel. I'm going to put out there what people need to know, and that's I'm not going to misrepresent. If I put it out there, I'm putting it out there as honest as I can. I'm going to be as honest with myself as I can be. So that's the most important thing, is that if this experience I had resulted in my morals being exemplary, as I plan them to be, because I've found that the better morals I have, the less I suffer from my personality disorders and mental illness or mental health disorders. So that, there's got to be something there. That if I was miserable for so long, and I thought my psychiatric medication was causing, I guess, what you would call my conscience, the voice in my head. That's not an audible voice, but I thought, my conscience was like telling me to kill myself over and over again. I thought it was being caused by the medication that I was on, but I don't really know. I mean, when I got off of the medication, that voice did go away, but it's like something else happened that obviously I wasn't behaving properly. I don't know how due to psych meds it was, because I wasn't exercising consistent morals at the time back then, but they got progressively better. And then basically, based on what I learned from the experience going to jail in Connecticut, and I spent August 30th or something to December 15th in the Hartford County Correctional Institution or Center, and I learned a lot just from the experience itself, and then applying what I've learned in college and through reading other types of books, scholarly type, psychology books, and I realized, okay, this is where I messed up, and a lot of it was not going to a recovery or a sober house when I knew I had a drinking problem, and then I think I already went into it earlier, but so that's that. I think I had a supernatural experience, but it's probably just a natural experience, but I don't want people to argue over that. It's because the main point is that if it compels good morals and good actions, then it was a good thing. As long as I'm being honest, and I'm not trying to say, okay, I think the supernatural happened, therefore it exists, and if you don't believe it, you're a nincompoop. No, that's not how I'm doing this. just because I had an experience doesn't mean I can tell other people to base their belief on my experience. And I'm not about to do that. Just because I think I had a supernatural experience doesn't mean I automatically think that there's an afterlife. That could be not true. That could... I really just, that I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, because I think the supernatural exists, therefore heaven exists, or reincarnation is real, or all that. Those could just be stories that are told so that people will have good morals. And, my supernatural experience might have nothing to do with those teachings and those stories and those holy books, but they're still fascinating to read. Now that I've been opened up to the possibility that the supernatural does exist, I can explore I can ponder those things. It's opened up my mind to a degree I could never have as an atheist. I did my best, though, to keep an open mind as an atheist, but I was still pretty much of the opinion that there was no such thing as the supernatural. Otherwise, it would have been, proven during the experiment when the magician was going to give away $1 million to somebody. I forget the name, what the guy's name is, but nobody, for like 30 years there was a contest. Hey, prove the supernatural exists, get $1 million. And of course nobody could prove the supernatural existed, but I could just say, hey, well, the supernatural just ain't going to let it happen unless they decide that someone's going to experience it. It doesn't happen. It doesn't matter. You could offer $1 trillion and no one's going to, and that's just how it is. That could be just a rule or something. There's something way bigger could be happening here, than anything we could possibly grasp. Like they say, is, what I mean? But it might, at the same time, it might not be as mind-blowing as you think, whatever is going on, if there's something going on. I have to take all perspectives into account. That's the purpose of having an open mind. And, based on my experiences, I remember what it's like to hold certain positions and the arguments that I used, But yeah, so it doesn't matter if my supernatural experience was real or not. People that believe in God are going to believe that it was real because that's going to back up their belief. Atheists are going to believe that it was a natural thing that can be explained by natural. And I think they're right, honestly. I mean, for real, as far as that respect goes, is that whatever I think is supernatural is really just natural. That I think I'm going with 100%. I'm going with that 100%. And that's just the intuition I get. So, but yeah, so the atheists are going to think it was, whatever. There's plenty of ways to dismiss my stories. It's very easy. If I told my stories to people, like people that didn't want to believe would have a dozen ways to dismiss my accounts of what's been happening. But anyone that believes in this stuff is going to just be like, yeah, hell yeah, what I believe is right. Yeah, this guy's talking about it like it's true. Because there's nothing wrong with that in a way, because that's just how everybody are. I mean, I shouldn't talk about like confirmation bias and conclusion shopping like it's a bad thing. It's just a thing, people do. There's nothing wrong with it in a sense, but you don't want to do it on purpose. Especially once you're aware of it, you can be like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm exercising confirmation bias by searching out for evidence that matches what I want to believe. Like, you can be like, okay, I'm doing that. Now, what's the evidence that might prove me wrong? Like, that's where it takes maybe a higher power to, I don't know how to explain it, but if there's gods, it's godly to try to prove yourself wrong. Let me put it to you like that they like that. These super intelligent beings are hypothetically posited to exist. They want to see people challenge themselves and challenge their beliefs so that the people can figure out for themselves what's right or wrong. In their opinion, what seems more likely to be true. Because you never really know the truth. Not in this plane of existence, in my opinion, but I'm not saying that truth can't be known, but there could, I used to dismiss the idea of multiple truths. If the sophistication is good enough, and I believe any person can have a religious experience that matches whatever their religion is. If you believe in Allah and the supreme beings want you to have a spiritual experience, that it'll be an Islamic spiritual experience, supernatural event. It'll be that you'll think, and then you'll go back to this person who had this experience, would go back to where they're at in that geographical region where they were situated and be like, man, we're right. It is the Islamic God. But the same type of experience can be given to somebody else. A Christian can have it, or a Native American. However, it's in the Bible. It's tucked away because that's what I like about the Bible, is that if you just read the surface, you're going to think, wow, this is like wisdom for savages. There's really not a lot here. What a great story. But, But once you get into searching for the mysteries, it's when it gets real good. Like, everyone can say what they want about the Bible being written by ignorant sheep herders or goat herders, but that's not the case at all. You can find out. I'm not gonna do it in this show. I got the Bible right over there, a couple of them, but I'm not busting it out right now. So I'm just saying, like, we really limit the supreme being when we try to say, okay, my religious experience was the only unique. It has to be the religious experience because I had it. That's an insult to the supreme beings. They can make it so the Norse, people that believe in the Norse gods can die and have that experience. That's what I'm guessing, at least. Or at least they can think, give them a spiritual experience like the supernatural experience I believe I have. It may have been designed for atheists, because I was an atheist and I had mine. I wasn't looking for God, I wasn't trying to prove myself wrong. I was. I actively did try to prove myself wrong about whether God existed or not. But I basically, towards the end of my atheism, I conceded that there might be something out there we don't know about. And I think the way I put it in the debate groups was, there's an unknown. The unknown might be nothing. That's what I think it is. But I don't know that it's nothing. There could be something else. There could be a godlike thing. That's where I got. And I just, in the debate groups, tried to stay focused on debating the existence of the way God was depicted in the Bible. And let's go there. And then they would have to prove things that happened, that were allegedly that happened in the Bible actually happened. And that's where, really, it must be funny, like, if there are gods watching, because these people that have to believe that everything in the Bible is literally true, they're giving up their God-given brain, in a sense. They're going against all logic and common sense and scientific literacy to back up what they want to believe. If they just said for a second, you know what, maybe the Bible isn't literally true, but there's a lot deeper, wiser messages hidden in what looks like a bunch of garbage. Really, as an atheist, I read it as an atheist, and it was a scary book to read. Some of the parts, it's I always like, man, there's no way God had anything to do with this. I read, now before I was an atheist, I read a picture Bible a bunch of times. I know I read the Gospels, maybe, I read the whole New Testament at least once, I think twice. Yeah, twice I read the whole New Testament. Then I read the whole Bible from front to back. I've read the Gospels, like maybe different versions, 20 times. I've read the Apocrypha. I've gotten the Dead Sea Scrolls. I used the Book of Enoch. All the other crazy books that weren't included in the Bible that were being passed around back then. It's all there, and there's more wisdom to be had in the stuff they left out of the Bible, the other Jewish stories that were circulating that didn't make it in the Bible. The Bible's a fascinating book, and you just gotta put a lot of time and effort into deciphering what's really the messages that are being conveyed, because this is how I look at it. if the messages weren't hard to find, they wouldn't be as valuable as whatever that is on the surface, that wisdom for savagery. Wisdom for savages, don't kill, don't steal. Thanks, God. Yeah, I really needed you to tell me that, not thanks. That took a God to figure that out. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, that's, to me, like, that version of the Ten Commandments, because there's two versions in the Ten Commandments in the Bible. A lot of people aren't aware of that, but the other one is odd. It's just, but I'll look into it and figure out what the deeper message is, if there's one there. There's got to be just malarkey thrown out there to throw us off. You know what I mean? There's got to be stuff in it that's obviously not from God. Just, I don't know. And then there's some parts, though. I'll fill you in on some parts that I've zeroed in on that are very moving. Once you're able to grasp the message, it's like, holy shit, wow. So that's all I gotta say, like, about the Bible. The truth has to be harder to find. Otherwise it's not as valuable. And there has to be some differential. You have to put effort into finding the truth. Trying to believe that the world is 6,000 years old requires too much. There's too much cognitive dissonance involved. And I can get into what that word means later for people that don't know, but when you start taking on that much cognitive dissonance, it's not healthy. I know this. I've taken the behavioral science course, so I know social psychology. I want to learn more about this cognitive dissonance phenomenon because it's everywhere. Everybody has it. It affects all of our lives. And it can be a major blocker to learning. And I can get into that at a later date. But trying to believe that the Adam and Eve story really happened with all the theatrics involved, and it's not a metaphor or symbolic or an allegory or whatever, that is not good for people's mental health. It must cause stress, and then the stuff like that defeats the whole purpose of, or one of the better benefits of a religious belief was having the hope and the faith that something out there is real, and that when you die, it's going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. You know what I mean? Like the hope that things get better after you die is like a stress reliever, though. And that's how religion worked for so long, is that people, because there wasn't so much stress hormone, screwing up their organs. So people that have a religious belief and they apply it to their life and they really feel it and they live it, this has been proven in experiments and clinical studies and all that. They have happier lives on average than atheists. They're healthier. They live longer. It's been documented. So. But still, I know it's not true, and the truth is worth more than people being happy and people living in good health. And, you know what I mean? Like, I found myself, like, when I learned about that in college, it was hard to debate people that were just wanted to believe in God and believe that there's an afterlife. Why would I want to rob that from them if I knew that it was good for them? So I just really focused on the fundamentalist in the debate groups, the young earth creationists, And then if somebody was just like, hey, Jesus loves you, I'd be like, hey, man, thanks. Instead of being like, prove Jesus exists. Jesus loves me. Oh, prove he exists. That's a bold claim. Oh, man, you're claiming if he loves me, he must exist. Now you got to provide me with 20. Well, I don't know. Okay, that's not. There's some atheists that are kind of like that. I'm over that whole thing pretty much. I just go on there to meet people and talk and just say what I got to say, and it's definitely not about educating the people. It's just plant seeds. That's all you can do. You can't push things on people. Just say what you got to say. If they're receptive, they'll take it home with them, put it away, and think about it at a later date. It'll pop back up. If you try to force these things on people, they just automatically, it's the cognitive dissonance thing. They're just like, what? Get away from me. You're forcing on me. They automatically don't like it because it's being forced on them. So anyways, that's where I stand. I believe the supernatural experience I had was real, but it's probably just a natural thing. I'll find out when I die. I guess if nothing happens and there's nothing, then, well, I hope I'm just going to live a good life. I would rather kind of just die and there be nothing than have to, like, I don't know, keep... I don't want to live forever. I mean, maybe 600 years, okay? How about that, okay? 600, I'm good. Just let me go to sleep forever after 600 years. Sounds good to me. All right, take care.